To start with the next tool, we want to see in our Metasploitable machine if we have some web applications or websites hosted in that virtual machine that we can use. Spoiler alert, yes, but to discover this, uh, we can just open Firefox in Kali while we have both virtual machines running and also seeing each other on the same network. In this case, I will um, navigate to the IP address that I know from this virtual machine, the Metasploitable one. Okay, so in yeah, apparently among all the things that the Metasploitable machine has, it has a web server, and in this web server we have a number of applications. Each one of these links will take us to a web application, a different one, and for this exercise I will concentrate on this one. Uh, DVWA, that's for Damn Vulnerable Web Application, if I recall correctly. And uh, honestly, this is used just to uh, for educational purposes, so we can see test tools like the one we are going to review and other things. To be honest, I don't even know what this is supposed to be air quoting, because only we will need to assess the security of this site. Okay. I'm gonna open the terminal. The tool we are going to check runs in the terminal, and I'm gonna start exploring a little bit how it works. The application, um, the tool is called Nikto, and I'm gonna write first this Nikto and H, the flag H, in lowercase, and when I hit enter, it basically shows me the help page of this command. Okay, it's usual that you will have a lot of different, many options. However, this one. We don't need to memorize all of this. We only want to use a couple of different options here, but it's very good to see that almost every well-known tool that runs in the command line will have something similar to this. So in case you forget a command or something like that, you can always look at these help pages. Okay. With this, you are invited, if you are doing this with me, to maybe post a video or do anything you want to do, and to explore the different options here. However, I'm going right away with what we need to conduct our first analysis with Nikto. I will push Control L, another good tip for the command line interfacing Windows, so that in Linux, sorry, so it will just clear the screen. Excellent. So what I'm going to do is to run again Nikto. However, the command I will use will be host and space, and I will put here the actual application that I want to assess. In this case, let me show you something that will be interesting to know from the beginning. Um, yes, I'm just writing vulnerable application. That's it. And given that that's the actual host, the IP address and slash WA, and I hit enter, it will say something like this, like zero hosts tested. And this is because Nikto is designed um, to assess like web interfaces and not necessarily the IP with the rest of the URL is enough. In this case, I'm going to repeat the same query but with the HTTP slash slash and the thing we had before. For those that doesn't know this, I just punch up arrow, and I can see the last um, comment that I typed in the terminal. Okay, so I just did that. So I recovered the command that you see in the upper in the terminal, and just tweaked that result. So with that, I just hit enter, and it's very fast, at least for this example. This might also be because of having the two machines in the same network, so it's fast. It might be slower if, for instance, the website that you are trying to access or the web application you are trying to access is too big, or if it's hosted on the internet. That will be mostly the case. Okay, so we honestly would be a couple more seconds. It wouldn't be a lot more than that, but just in case, I'm pausing the video a bit. And literally, like 5 seconds later, this scan ended. So we can see here in the terminal that we had a lot of information that is useful for a security assessment. So I will just going through some of these lines. But first thing that it could be interesting to know. Um, Okay. The invitation here is to start looking at like line by line to understand what kind of message we're receiving, and to assess if that is important or not. It's up to us, to be honest, but it will be nice to start reviewing all of these outputs. This one I want to start here. We will see that we have some basic information up here in the output, no? Like when I hit the address of that application, it is redirecting us to login, for instance. This is around here, and so on, no? Other more informative kind of information, yeah, data, etc. The Apache server appears to be outdated, and it's even given us the versions. This is important. Here I see in my SAFETAG report that I can suggest the organization or recommend the organization to update that Apache server. Yeah, and so on. We can start like researching a bit every one of these. However, I will focus on probably from here. I'm very interested. Directory indexing found. We can literally test it. Like I can copy this text. I can use the secondary click, or also I can use Control C, but also with Shift. This is a kind of a unusual thing in Linux, but Control Shift and C is copying text from the terminal. We need the Shift. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go back to this to Firefox, and I will paste here the yeah, indeed. If you use the /config, you will see this. Basically, I will be able to see every file that is in that folder, and if it has children folders, maybe I can see also their content depending on some configurations. So here I may have access to sensitive information that may be used by an attacker to basically compromise the website. It could be credentials to databases. It could be hard-coded administrative usernames and passwords. Things like that might be possible. So this is important in the scope of this tool and this site. Excellent. So and so on. It could be. I'm gonna check uh, this other output here. PHP reveals potentially sensitive information via certain HTTP requests containing a specific query strings. And this, when it says like C, OSV, DB, and a number, this is a database of vulnerabilities that Nikto is comparing every vulnerability it says against. Okay, so that might be also useful in case we want to research more. But for now, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna paste this, enter, and I have PHP credits. So yeah, this doesn't seem to be very sensitive or dangerous. However, there is something key here, that I have the credits of the module authors. PHP, when we have a PHP server, we might install a number of different modules so to make our tools work, and some of them might be vulnerable. So uh, having this information in the credits, it would be useful maybe for an attacker to list which extensions, which modules this web server is or this PHP instance is running, and they might research some attacks or vulnerabilities in this. Okay, um, maybe the next one. Let's see quickly, like if there are other kind of problems. uh this is interesting. This is an interesting one because the link the tool is suggesting is just an image. It's just a logo image for PHP, and here we can do two things. The first one is saying, you know what, is a logo, is not that important, so I will just disregard this. However, in some cases, if I'm an attacker and I know and I see this specific file, I can go the extra mile and research uh, the version of PHP that ships with this exact logo, because they might vary, and they do, across versions or major versions or a number of versions. And in this case, if I'm an attacker and in 2023 I see this logo and I do my research, I will see that the PHP version is outdated, and there are a number of vulnerabilities that can be used against this application. Okay, again, it's metasploitable. This is on purpose. Okay. However, if you find something like this in a real world scenario with an organization you are assessing, this is something that might be actually cool to include in our reports, and so on. So another thing is that you might find some URL, some directions, some endpoints in this application that might be interesting the way it says here. Okay, the first one is login. We already saw this one because is when we access this application is redirecting here, like to a login page. And well, this might be interesting indeed. You will decide in the scope of your assessment if it's okay that if we want to show this tool or this window, or if not. Okay, same here. Docs, this is also interesting, or might be interesting, as the app says. Docs slash, and we can also find a PDF here with the documentation of the application. There might happen a number of things might be happening here. The first one is that probably, or this might be the documentation of the development, and in that case, an attacker can infer from here some ways to compromise the actual application. Sometimes not. Sometimes this is a documentation of an user based, yeah, for end users, etc. And that's also a thing, no, that can happen. This is interesting because it's showing security information about the application. Okay, so this would be bad in a real world scenario, and so on. I mean, I can spend a lot more time per each one of these vulnerabilities, but um, it's a thing of keep exploring. No, here for instance, I just copied this one, and it says PHP allows retrieval of the source code via the S parameter, and it might allow command execution. This is huge if this was a real application, right? Again, if you see something that is complicated to you, or you don't understand exactly what they they are doing or what does any of this means, you can research. You will find slowly the answers to your questions. For instance, many people, even with coding knowledge, they are not familiar with PHP, and that's fine. That's okay. So if I see this source code in PHP and I don't understand any something, like, I can pretty much research a little bit more about that, or not, depending on what is more important for us during the scope of the assessment that we are doing. So cool. Um, we can do this for a bit more time. However, I believe that it would be good for you to just play a little bit with this, test the links, etc. A good thing about Nikto is that it's based a lot in the actual endpoints, the actual URLs, so you can see by yourself the kind of things that Nikto is finding. Also, maybe before stopping for a bit, I will show you here. Excellent. That, for instance, it finds change logs, or it finds the kind of platforms that these applications are running in. So in this case, it's Drupal 7, or it seems to be Drupal 7. So that's all of this is very it could be very useful, especially if true, no? But usually we can, as I said, check. Okay, so cool. If you're familiar with Linux, you will see how you can, probably you will know already how to store this information in a file for documentation purposes. And if not, in the next video, I will show you a couple of tricks to store this information in a file, so you can reference it later or analyze it later, or in your audit process in general. Okay.